Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's team training call. For those of you that don't know me, which most people should do now because this is a team training call. My name is Paul Gillingham. I'm a master seller within the company. I've been with Direct Sellers since December the 5th, 2016. So where are we now? 16 months or so. And it's been an incredible journey. It's been an exciting journey. It's one that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. It's from where we started to where we are now to where we're going in the future. It's a great, it's a great time in my life and Tara's life at the moment. And I know it's a great time in your lives as well, because things are changing, things are developing, things are evolving. And, coming out of Vegas last month and hearing the changes that are being made, opening in Australia last week and having like the huge success, opening in Germany next week is, we're going places. And what I love about this is that everything that's been said is happening. Every date that they're saying is being met. And so, this for me, this is the start. We've launched, but now this is our relaunch. We're into a stage now where momentum's good, the spirit in the camp is high, everyone's positive, and I'm really looking forward to going out on tour next week. I think I've got 13 or 14 socials now booked in April. I think I've got 6 days left. So out of the 19 dates that I put out available, I think 13 have been taken, which is absolutely incredible. And my first one is in Bristol on Tuesday the 3rd. So really looking forward to going up to Bristol. Never been there. I've been there once, sorry. But looking forward to spending the night with Sean, Fiona and Ian. And then I think my second one is on the 7th. But I'm going to put the full details up in the group probably tomorrow, along with the guest speakers for April. So all of April's all sorted. We've got Tony Lanza, we've got Tanner Johnson, we've got Becky Mitchell, and we've got Steve Burt. So again, 4 incredible speakers for the month of April. But however, the time is now. The time is March, the end of March. What a month to finish on. And we are honoured, delighted, excited to have the president's wife, the first lady of Direct Sellers, join us on the call. The first time I met this lady was in Leeds in January. And straight away, first of all, I knew why Kevin married her. But secondly of all, I knew straight away that this was a lady that I wanted to kind of like hang on to and learn from, because hearing her story that you guys are going to hear now, and the way that she spoke and presented in Vegas was just absolutely like incredible. She's so passionate, fired up, motivated, always smiling as well, which is, even better, because we don't like negative people and we don't like people that are sad. But, I'm really excited about what this lady is about to present to us all. So, Anne, are you on the call?
I am here. I did unmute myself.
Perfect. Well, the floor is yours, and I will mute myself out and literally just sit back and enjoy your presentation.
Oh, thanks. Well, that's quite an introduction. So I'm from England originally, for those of you in Australia. And in fact, Jill Stapleton, who is doing important work for the DSA in Australia, was the 6th person that I recruited into my business in the UK. So I've definitely strong connections to the Australians. So how did I start? Well, yes, I'm married to Kevin, and I met him through direct sales, but my journey into direct sales was very different to Kevin's. I was a single mum of 4, and I was also working full-time. And some of you may be able to relate to that, or you know other people like that. And most people would never have asked me to come into direct sales. But a friend of mine knew that I was absolutely desperate for cash. It was like a juggle. How was I going to pay the grocery bill every week? And she told me about this opportunity in direct sales, and I was really skeptical. So I didn't know anything about direct sales. All I knew were the bad stories and, oh, it's a scam, and people who are professional don't do that. And so I was really hesitant. But after a little bit of investigation, I thought, you know what, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I have a younger brother who really encouraged me. He'd already got a business, not in direct sales. And he said, look, here's the thing with this business, any business, it's like placing a bet. But you've got two big advantages. The first is you've had a good look at the horse. And the second one is you're riding it. And with those words, I then invested what little money I had left. And for the business I was in, it was even then, which is a long time ago now, it was almost $1,000. It was 700 and some pounds. It was a lot. I scraped together the money, and I thought, okay, what I have to do is I have to do the equivalent of a social every week, and I have to sign up the equivalent of a rep every week so I can pay my grocery bill, because that was my instant money. And that was my goal, pay my grocery bill every week. And I had no clue how I was going to do it. I hadn't had any training. There was no company training. And it was like, okay, I've got to do this. So I tentatively called a few people I knew, and I got them together, and they were like, yeah, and we'll be supportive. And I thought they were being really kind. And that's how I started. Well, it turned out that I didn't know what I was doing. I made every mistake in the book, but I did make sure I did one social every week so I could pay the grocery bill, so I could feed the kids. And I was still working full time. And I'm not going to kid you and say, oh, it was so easy, it all fell in my lap. No, it didn't. But I knew that that's what I was going to do. I had to keep focused on that grocery bill every single week. Then somebody explained to me about the career plan, the compensation plan, the one that's in your back office. Obviously, it wasn't mine because that's yours, but it was that. And I was like, okay. And then I met these people like the Austin Zulofs of the world, and they were like making real money. And I looked at them and I went, well, wait a minute, you're the same as me. You've got one head and two arms and two legs. And if you can do it, I don't think you've got any superpower. I wonder if I can do that too. And so I thought, okay, so I printed out the career plan, and I literally had it by the side of my bed. And I was like, what do I have to do to get to be like a master seller? Then what do I have to do to build my unilevel team income? Because that's going to be my long-term income. What do I have to do? And I literally looked at it and I thought, that's where I'm going. And I told everybody, I really declared it. And it was scary as heck because I'd never done anything like this. But I was like, you know what? I am going to tell people I am leaving my job. And I was a college teacher. It was a job that people thought I was insane to even think of leaving. And I am going to make this my full-time business. Now, let me tell you my timeline. I started in the October. I had no clue what I was doing. January, I printed out the career plan and started going, okay, I know how to do a social and actually pay my grocery bill now. So that would be the equivalent of you going out and signing a rep once a week and getting your fast start bonus. And that was the equivalent for me. And then I thought, okay, so now what do I do? What do I have to do to really build my income? So I got on the phone and I started calling people who had bought like memberships and started telling them, look, I'm building my business. I would love to tell. I didn't do a very good job when I met you about explaining about this business because I didn't understand it. So can I just practice on you? Can I practice on what I know about this business and how, if you're looking for extra income, this can work for you? Some said no, some said yes, some said, well, I'm not really interested, but I can tell you so-and-so is looking to make some extra money. I'll put you in touch with them. And that's what I did. And every night I went back and checked off on my list of what I had to do to get to the next level. So in a direct seller's compensation plan, I'd be going, okay, I need to have my 9 direct to me. And I can tell you, and it didn't happen overnight, but I had 40 direct to me almost always. Why? Not because I thought that was an important number, but because I knew it took a lot of people to find the people who were interested in building. Because some people just want to come on and get their wine and, frankly, not do a lot else. And that's fine. That's up to them. So every time I did a social, find a rep, find my wine members. Those were my sort of like ongoing people. So let me have a look at my notes, because it was important. I made sure that I got everything down that I wanted to. Yeah, I was really focused. And I think the other thing that I always realized was that my socials, the equivalent of my socials, were the lifeblood of my business. To the extent, and here's how I use my socials. I'd do a social and I would aim to always find a rep. I kept my socials small and I was the only rep there unless I was training someone. Because what I did was, I didn't have, remember I was still working full-time. For the first several months I was working full-time. I did not have time to do my own socials and then some for somebody else. So when I had a rep, when I found a rep at a social, they had already watched me in action. They'd seen how I did it. Then they could always come with me to another social to get another, look at it. Now they'd decided to become a rep, or I would help them with their first social and I would be there to support them. And I did as much on-the-job training as possible with my team. Come with me, come and watch. Did a couple of things and made sure that at every single social, I was the best example I could possibly be. What was I saying about the business? How was I signing up my members? How was I talking about the 3 and free? It kept me accountable to my new people. And it really helped me build my team. Every single social I did, I told people, I declared it. I am building my business. I'm building a team. I would love to have anybody here as part of that team because we are going places. So I started in October. January, I had my compensation plan printed out next to the bed. February, I gave notice. March, I finished at the college. And so beginning of April, I was on my own. Now, you might think at this point that I was stupid, but I actually knew that what I was doing was working, and I was actually working my business, and I could see the results were coming. But my only bonus check at that point from my bonus volume had been £58. So I don't know, maybe $70. And that's US dollars, not Australian. So it had been £58. But I knew that I was building. I knew I had good, strong people coming in and I was teaching them how to build. Because if you teach someone how to build, someone who's direct to you, they're going to build, and that's your unilevel income. And that is what is going to sustain you long term. That is what will give you the potential to replace your income. So whatever it is that your goal is, maybe it's £500 or dollars a month. Look at that amount of money and go, how many reps do I need? How many members do I need? What am I saying at my socials that are going to get those people? Keep your socials simple. I know the very first social I was asked to attend as a guest here in the US, and it was back in October 17. I went and it was a big room and it was full of people. And there were lots of reps there. And this is no criticism, this is just my observation. And I thought, okay, so there's so many people here, no one's actually taking responsibility to be the person that talks about the business or talks about the membership. When it's just you and a small group of people, you're it, and you get to practice until you feel really confident. So just gather a few friends together and just do an open the box night. That's what I called it. I've got my box of wine. It's just arrived. Come on over. I want you to taste this. I want you to see what I've got my hands on. And I'm going to share with you how you can these premium wines at a great price. And I'm going to share, if you're looking for an income opportunity. Now, I know some pieces that are coming out with some very simple scripting that's going to be a part of that. So that you'll have some little scripts that you can use, but keep it really simple. Keep yourself focused and move forward on your goals. I think one of the things that, let me just have a look at my notes, because again, I want to make sure, and you can tell me to be quiet anytime you want, Paul. you are going to hit what will appear to be roadblocks. It happened to me over and over. People said no. People said, I'm not doing that. People said, really? You're really doing that thing again? But I kept focused on what I needed. I had a small income at that point. I was still juggling everything with the children, but I wasn't having to pay childcare now. That made a big difference in my life. I knew I could pay my basic bills. And then, just to tell you that, I told you that my socials every week was what was paying my grocery bill. Well, one week, I opened up my calendar. I had been so busy helping my team, I didn't have a social for me. That meant no grocery bill money. So I called the bank and I asked if I could have a loan of £50 so I could pay my grocery bill that week. He said no. He said, no, you can't. So it's amazing what you can do with pasta and some tins of tomatoes when you have hungry children. And that's what I did. And it was a lesson, a reminder. You can focus on your team's business, but keep your own business strong. Focus on you too. Don't ever let you be the victim of your business. So I never let that happen again. I can tell you that was about June or July. In September, when I went back to the bank with my £5,800 check, remember, in March of that year, it had been £58. September, it was £5,835, and I can't remember the pennies, and I walked into the bank and put that on the bank manager's desk. And he said, oh, what's that from? I said, it's my income. He said, well, yeah, I knew you were doing quite well. And he said, well, so what is that for? And I said, it's for a month. And he went, oh. And I looked at him and I said, now say, well done. Because he was the person who told me no money for groceries just a few months before. So you have your little victories. And when you get the setbacks, just move beyond them. If you've got big goals, and I had big goals, like I needed to be in my own home again. I'd lost my home in the divorce and everything else. I wanted my own home again. That was my big goal. And I'll tell you what my first goal was when I started working on the compensation plan and started sponsoring people and enrolling reps. I was like, right, when I have 3 reps, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself a lipstick and one of those fancy gold cases from one of those snooty women in those department stores that look at you like down their noses, because I don't want to buy one in a plastic case from a drugstore. I deserve one in a gold case. And that was my first goal. So set yourself little goals. I used to do things like, and it sounds so silly, but it worked. It worked for me. So I'd write my list the night before. What were my 10 priorities in the morning? Who was I going to call? Who was I going to speak to about the business? And then I would say, okay, when I've dropped the children off at school, I'm going to come home, I'm going to make my 10 calls. And I would literally write down next to the person, was I calling about hosting a social? Was I calling about the business? Was I calling to support a team member? And when I'd made my calls, I rewarded myself with a cup of coffee. And in the evening, it was definitely a glass of wine. So I did that too. And then one of the things that I had to learn too, it's very easy to confuse activity with achievement. We can be busy all day long. We can send out social media posts. We can use Twitter. We can text people. But if at the end of the day it has not brought you a result and hasn't moved your business forward, you need to look again at the actions that you're taking, because every action needs to have a result. It may be tomorrow, it may be next week, but keep moving on actionable things. Measure your results. And the other thing, for those of you that I know are working full-time still, set time aside on your calendar and use it. I built my business on a Sunday evening between 7 and 9. That was the only time I had. I didn't have cell phones, social media wasn't around. I know I'm that old, but it was, that's when I started my business. Everything was on paper too. You didn't have the back office you have now, but you used what you had. But when you get this business working for you the way that you want, it's the freedom it gives you to know that you never need to be beholden to anyone ever again. You're in control of your own destiny. And that is a wonderful feeling. And yes, I did go on. I was #1 in the UK. I had a multi-million business within 2 years. I eventually moved to the US and got a job in corporate. But I can tell you, I have never, ever, ever forgotten what it felt like to do my first social, not have a clue what I was doing, make every mistake in the book, and move forward. And because I've never forgotten that, I think it also allows me to help those that are starting out, whether that's for corporations where I've helped turn companies and go from like 100 million to 400 million, or 25 million to 200 million, with the trainings and leadership programs we've put in place. But there's no joy like starting your business and making it work for you. Anything you want to ask me, Paul?
Wow. Tara's just said to me 2 things. The first one, she said, if you was American, then you would be a third favourite American and Kevin would actually go to #4. But the second thing that she said was, and what we've got to remember as a team, is that the training that we're getting is from people that have been there and done what we're doing. You've been rock bottom, and you've built yourself up and up and up and up and up. Because I think a lot of people watch what certain people are doing right now, and they see the success that some people are having right now, but they don't get where they've come from. They seem to think that everyone was here and they've gone to there. But a lot of people, and what I've grown to know over the years that I've been involved in network marketing, is there's so many people out there now that are massively successful, that have literally gone from hero to zero, and it's because of their goal, because of their why, because of their their determination. They're inspired to do it all, and they've got to go out and do it. So I'm going to open the line up in a minute for questions, but some of the things that I wrote down there from the call. Tara's, what are you? What?
He's just joined.
Oh, your husband's on the call, by the way. So some of the things that I took down from there is that small is better with this. I know that, don't take that the way that you want to take it, but small is better with this. And I've said this so many times on calls before, that it's great to have big events, and it's great to have big socials in pubs and restaurants and clubs and whatever else. But if we've got 25 people on this call right now, if 25 people ran an in-house social every single week, where they invited their neighbours, their friends, their family, their colleagues, or whatever, and we'd done that on a weekly basis, the numbers would literally just grow exponentially. And
everybody's business would explode. And the thing is, you don't have to have it every week. Like, for example, if I'm hosting a social and someone signs up as a member, I'm going to say to them, look, I would love to help you get free at 3 and free. So why don't you get a few friends together and let's get you your wine for free? Because then you've got another opportunity to go forward and just say, because in their friends, they may have someone who wants to be a rep, who didn't dare say to their friends, look, oh my God, I'm so strapped for cash. I don't know how I'm going to pay my car payment this week. Those aren't things that people normally share. And another little tip that someone told me, there's always a recruit in the room, but is there a recruiter? Ask yourself, every time you go into a room, I went in with what I called my little antenna on my head, listening all the time. Who was saying, well, I want to go on vacation, but we can't this year? Or who was saying, I really want to get the kitchen done, but if we do that, I can't go on vacation this year? Or, those are clues. People need more money. And just listen and help others. Anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, some of the other things that I wrote down was, and again, this is something that I've mentioned on calls before, and I know Ben's mentioned it as well, is when you mentioned you was doing your socials and you said, look, I'm here for my business, I'm looking for business partners, and it's having that confidence and the posture, and and it's believing not only in yourself but the company that you partnered up with as well, because there's so many people that get into network marketing that are self-employed, that they've got their own businesses, and they go and shout about that from the rooftops, but they get involved with a network marketing company and it's just like, it's like that. I've got a wine business. Do you want to try?
Well, I can tell you, when I first started, I had these little cards that you had to sort of like say the words, and there was a card on there that said saying about the business, and I would get to that card and I'd go, oh, and if you want to do this business, you could do this business. So, as I was saying, and then I'd go on to the bit I was comfortable with. I had to learn to be comfortable with those words, and I had to make those words my words. And that was when I was able to say, this is my life. I'm doing this for my family. I want to change my life, and I'm building my team. And people came back to me weeks and months and sometimes even years later and said, I'll never forget you stood in that room, Anne, and you said you were going to do that, and I wanted some of that too.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I've said this to you guys, like you and Kevin, I've spoken to you quite a lot recently, and I'm so confident in what we've got right now that I would talk to anyone about this business. Like, and a lot of things have happened like in our lives, so especially over the last few days. Like my brother's now, he finally tried the wine, and it's like the best red wine he's ever tasted. And he come around at the weekend and he's taken a personal development book and he's reading the book, and he's reading it again because he enjoyed it so much. And when he comes around again, he's going to pick up another book. A few of my mates, we give them a bottle of wine for doing some jobs around the house. Oh my God, I can't believe how good this wine is. It's just about getting the product out there and exposing what we've got as a company, because I know how special this company is and how big it will become. Like, how special this company is, because you wouldn't have let your husband get involved if you didn't. So with that being said, I'm going to open the. Has anyone got any questions? I've got everyone on the grid now, rather than everyone unmuting themselves. Has anyone got anything that they'd like to ask Anne while they're on the call? And if you have, hold your hand up, wave your hand so I can see. Helen, go for it.
I've got my coat on because I'm going out, but I couldn't leave without hearing Anne. And you have really, I'm really feeling it. I tell you, I really am. You're giving it to me today, so thank you. You really are. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, Helen, I know that you're already doing so well. You really are. And just focus on what, I know you're going to do great. And you've worked so hard for what you have already. You really have.
I think actually what's been really helpful, I've written 5 things. The first one is printing off the compensation plan and kind of visualizing it and speaking it and believing it, but also actually believing in yourself, that your business is the most important thing here. And I think that that's something I haven't done. So I'm definitely going to practice. So I'm seeing lots of friends at the weekend, so I'm going to encourage them all to let me host a wine do at their place.
And just tell them I'm going to practice on you all.
Yes, practice. Yes, good. Thank you.
Brilliant. Helen, you are an absolute superstar already. And we keep saying recently, when your why makes you cry, that is, that's what you've got to focus on. So, bravo to you. Has anyone else got any questions? There's not many opportunities you're going to get to speak to the president's wife on a training call.
Hey, I am more than his wife, I will have you know.
The first lady of direct sellers. Has anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, because now you need to start referring to Kevin as Anne's husband.
Yeah, so that Tara's just said we now need to start referring to Kevin as Anne's husband. So Kevin, if you're listening, you're now Anne's husband. You're not Kevin Raulston, president of Direct Sellers. Has anyone got any questions? Carl, you must have a question. We know how much you're a fan of Anne and Kevin.
No, I've got a lot of time for Anne because in a way her background's very similar to my own. And I know for the conversations I've had this week, I had my nan's funeral yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
And I think what's kind of hit me about that is actually, it's not just the appreciation that life is short, but it's also the fact of you need to kind of be focused on what you kind of want to be doing. And that's what I said to Paul. I'm probably going to hand in my notice myself next week. So for you, Anne, when you kind of did that initially, I know it must have been a kind of to an extent of relief, but how much fear was behind that as well, knowing that you're about to take this giant leap?
Of course, I was. Of course, I was scared, and there was part of me that I was like, "Who am I kidding? What have I done? What have I done?" And people said to me, "What have you done? What have you done? Well, you're an idiot." I mean, they'll say that to you. They will, Carl. But just keep focused on your convictions and make sure every action you take gets a result that you want. And when it doesn't, don't change it, add. Because if what you're doing is working, but it's not working as fast as you want, add to it. You know, and just make sure that your actions are not just activity and they're bringing you forward. And the other thing I would say is on the confusing activity with achievement is making sure that you're really connecting with people. It's very, very easy for all of us to send a text and feel we've connected, or to send an email and feel we've connected. Person to person, phoning, the voice, so important, so important.
Lindsay.
That's marvelous. Thanks so much.
Sorry, Carl. Thank you, mate. Lindsay, I've just unmuted you. Lindsay recently joined the business, I think it was Saturday, actually, last week. So Lindsay's been in the 5 days. So, Lindsay, the floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Hi everyone. Hi, Anne. That was absolutely amazing listening to you. I think I missed just the very beginning because this is the first time I'm using Zoom as well. So I'll get there in the end. What I would say is, did you find that the people who had said no to you in the very early days, did you get them in the end? Did some of them sort of regret sort of not saying yes in the early days?
Some of them did, but the other thing I was going to say, and it was something that Paul reminded me when he was talking about his brothers now just come around, is that sometimes the people that are the closest to you are the ones that give you a wide berth, and that can be really disheartening. You can just feel like, oh, you know, I really thought my friends and family were going to be supportive and they're not. But don't let that get in the way. There's often a reason for that, and often the reason is, one, they're happy with where you are now because that helps them keep their status quo. And the other thing is, it's out of love too. They don't want you to fail. Like, well, you know, if I don't encourage her, then she can't fail. And then so don't let that get in your way. And yes, I did have people come back to me. But the other thing I learned was sometimes when I saw potential in someone and I worked very hard to help them come into the business, I also had to learn to let go and move on. That there came a point where it was like, you know what, some will, some won't. Next. I have to go to the next, because I had to be focused on my results. And I learned over and over and over again. I was by no means perfect. And one of the other things, and I don't think this necessarily, applies to you, but it was, again, something that Paul reminded me. He said, when people see the people at the top of the business, they think, oh, that's great for them. And but as I said, I've never forgotten how I started. One of the things that someone once said to me was, look, if your car is held up with duct tape and you are, or sellotape, and you are trying to convince someone that this is a great business and you're going to earn extra money and it's going to be fantastic, park your car around the corner. And honestly, I had one of those cars. I had the car with all the car seats and the smooshed up crumbs in the back, and and it didn't look great. And I had to be conscious of the fact that if I was projecting this is a business that's going to earn you money, but I wasn't able to drive a car that said that at the moment, and we didn't have a fantastic car program like Direct Sellers did, then I had to kind of park it around the corner. I had one of those cars. So just because you're not where you want to be yet doesn't mean to say you can't declare this is where I'm going.
Yeah. Thank you. That was lovely.
Great question. Has anyone else got any questions for Anne? We'll take 2 more because I'm just conscious of the time for everyone. Has anyone else got any questions? I can see everyone's faces, so if you need to speak or want to speak, hold your hands up. Stoya? Go for it, mate.
Hi, Anne. How are you? Thanks, mate. So my question is, because you're saying like sort of keep your socials small as well. Here in Canberra and with my Canberra team, we really want to have a big launch party. So do you recommend that's a good idea? We kind of want to just invite everyone.
Well, if you do that,
a few of us.
Yeah, if you do a big sort of launch party, use it as a launch. But from that, encourage every single one of your team members to ensure that they have, they're saying to everybody, come and see what we're doing. I want you to see I'm bigger. Give them a sense of belonging. I belong to something bigger than me. I've got this amazing business opportunity. But make sure that you work with each team member to say, okay, I'm going to follow up with you the day after. I want to know how many people did you talk to about the business? How many members did you get? How many socials did you book? And give them a goal from that. So, you know, absolutely have your big party, have your big launch, make them feel they're part of something big and exciting, because they are, but set each team member a goal and use it.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited for you, Stoya, and you know what you're going to do over in Canberra, and it's exciting things for all the Australians that are not only on the call tonight, but that we're building at the moment. And you know, one thing that I love about what we've got as a team is that it's a real team effort, and everyone supports everyone, and there's no upline, downline, crossline, there's no country, there's no, you know, it's a direct sellers community, and you know I've never seen that in another company before, and I think that it's because of the work that's being done from the top that's funneling down, and it's just had such a real positive impact on everyone. So, you know, for that, I appreciate everything, and Kevin, you know, all the corporate team for the work that you've done and made such a special company that, you know, that is direct sellers. So I could have a ton of questions. You know, I could speak to you all night and interview all night. It's like a bit of a Piers Morgan interviews bit. But the only question I'm going to end with, I guess, is how excited. Well, it's 2 parts. But how excited are you about the future of direct sellers, and where can you see this going in terms of industry growth?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, look at the size of the wine business. You've got something really special, and knowing what's happening, how you're getting you've got your own wines, you've got something really, really great. Some of the other things that are going to be coming up for you, it's incredible. If you can get this going now, just go for it. And that doesn't mean that just because you're in at the beginning, when you bring somebody in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, they too have the same opportunity, because we can't reach enough people. We just can't reach enough people to share this amazing opportunity. We're limited. That's why we have to build a team of like-minded people to share it. It's going to be huge.
So you've heard it there yourself. You've heard it there. So, guys, I appreciate everyone jumping on. To the Australians, thank you for getting up early and jumping on the call. I know we've got some Canadians on. I can see Lauren and Kevin and obviously Anne jumping on from America. So we appreciate you guys jumping on as well. Have an amazing Easter weekend. Try not to eat too much chocolate if you can. We'll be back on Monday night with the opportunity call, myself and Ben. And then next week's call will be with Tony Lanza. So I will put the details of my tour out tomorrow. I'll put the full details of the April schedule out tomorrow. But again, and thank you so much for tonight. I know how busy you are, but you know, I really appreciate everything that you've done. You've certainly made Kevin a better person. And you know, you've now overtaken him. So Kevin, you've got work to do, my friend, to keep up with your wife. But with that being said, again, appreciate everyone jumping on. I'll get the link up in the group tonight. Have an amazing Easter, and we'll be back again on Monday night. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Great weekend, and we'll see you guys again very, very soon. Thank you, and good night.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.